Hello, welcome. A quick word about COVID protocols before I get us started today. I will unmask while speaking. I'll put my mask back on when I'm done. The candidates, if you're vaccinated, we welcome you to unmask during the debate so that you can speak clearly. Everyone else, if you could please keep your masks on during the debate. Thank you. My name's Chris Boucher. I'm the president of the board here at the Magnolia Library and Community Center. Welcome. We are thrilled to have you. We're honored to host this debate and to be a polling center for Ward 5, Precinct 1. This is the second mayoral debate for the city of Gloucester and the last one before the preliminary election that is on September 14th. Please go vote on September 14th. I would like to thank 1623 Studios, who are providing live streaming coverage of this debate on their Facebook page and on Comcast Channel 12. And unedited video of the debate will be uploaded to their YouTube channel as well as available on 1623studios.org. A couple of other quick announcements. Our bathrooms are under construction. We have one bathroom that is working. If you go through the doors and to the left, that's where the bathroom is. We ask that everybody, including the candidates, please turn your phones off and put them away if you would. I will put my laptop away as soon as I'm done looking at the notes that I need for this little address. Thank you. Okay, so to the format of the debate, we're going to start by giving each candidate a chance to make a 2-minute opening statement. We'll start with Mr. Harvey. We'll go down the table that way for the opening statements. After the opening statements, we have 6 questions. The questions were contributed by members of our board, by members of our community, and by members of the Global Issues class at Gloucester High School. So we have 6 questions. For the first each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to each question. For the first question, again, we'll start with Mr. Harvey and go down the table. For the second question, we'll start with Mr. Pollard, go down the table and rotate back to Mr. Harvey. For the third question, we'll start with Mayor Teakin and so on, so that the order varies for each question. There are 2 wireless mics there. The candidates are welcome to use them if you want or not, as you wish. There are, as you can see, 2 of them. After you're done with the mic, I ask that you put it down next to you towards the back of the table, and Alana Horn, a member of our board, will come by and wipe the mic down so that the next person can use it. Yes? An example of? Just like where the red mic is there, just towards the back of the table is fine, just so Alana can go behind you and get to the mics and not get in the way of the cameras. So after the 6 questions, we'll give each candidate a chance to make a 1-minute closing statement, and that will be the end of our debate tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the candidates for coming. Thank you to 1623 Studios. Thank you to our board for all the work that they've done in preparing for this debate. And thank you to you, our community, for coming and for supporting the library and community center. Thank you. So without further ado, are you ready? And when you get to your final 10 seconds, Kylie Davis is keeping time. She'll hold up the sort of international sign of 10 seconds left. Okay? All right. Let's begin. Mr. Harvey, you want to make an opening statement?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Magnolia Library for having us here tonight. I am John Harvey. Don't vote for me because I was born here or that my family's from here. I guess I have. Is this working? To thank the Magnolia Library and 1623. It's on. Settle down. My name is John Harvey. Don't vote for me because I was born here or that my family is from here. Don't vote for me because I love this city and that I worry about its future and how it might change, but I do. Vote for me because I, like you, I am one of you. Like you, I've spent my life outside of government looking in. Like you, I don't always like what I've seen. Like you, I've always been too busy holding a job and having a family to step up and say, I'll do it. But now I am. I am because what I've seen is arrogance from those on the inside when their judgment is questioned. What I've seen is a lack of foresight, money wasted, opportunities lost, questionable behavior, and unanswered questions. I can't promise all of that will change overnight, but I can promise that I will look ahead that I will stay open-minded, that I will listen, and then if I fall short, I'll own it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Pollard, and I'm running for Mayor of City of Gloucester. I live in East Gloucester on High Popples Road, and I just want everyone to understand that I'm available at any time online. I have my contact information if you want to reach out to me prior to the election. Please feel free to do so. I'd love to talk to you more. So one of my biggest passions when it comes to the City of Gloucester, which I love, is education. And I think that not only do I feel that way, but also the city feels that way when a significant portion of the city budget is focused on the school system. So I think we have a wonderful school system. The town of Rockport and also Manchester Essex school system, they do not offer as many AP classes as the City of Gloucester High School offers. So I think we have a great base in the current school system, but I also see opportunity. And where I see opportunity is our current vocational school, we need to emphasize focusing on the vocation. And I think that we can hopefully retain some of these 275 students that choose to school choice, not only to Essex Agricultural, not only to Rockport, not only Manchester Essex, but also some of these other schools. If we can retain some of these students and bring some additional revenue into the City of Gloucester, we can then even support the Gloucester school system even more. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Safathia Romeo Taken. At this time, I am your mayor and running for re-election. I know we had a difficult year and people will say certain things, and that's okay. That's what mayors are all about. I have broad shoulders. The reason why I decided to run for mayor when I was interim mayor is because I saw that changes needed to be done. And I saw the partnership that was lacking across that bridge that needed to come. I was glad that I ran for mayor and became your mayor because we have that. Today alone, we had the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of economics, mass development, to look at Gloucester all in one day. That's phenomenal. That's because we have great representation and finally we're all sitting at the table. Well, you know, you're gonna hear changes and we're doing it together. Changes don't have to be done, correct? Because the fact is, I need your help to make those changes. It's easy to stay home and say, well, she's doing this wrong and he's doing this wrong and that's not done right. But it's better when you come to the office, which I've always had an open door policy. And the changes that happen have to go slowly because some of the things we cannot change. It takes time, we have to pass a bill, just like restaurants going outside. You know, you had to go through the license board. The state had to make all these changes, the same thing, everything you need to do. There's a process. It took a long time. It's easy. I was a city council. Oh, I can do it. No. Hands-on, learning, bridge working for the community, listen for the community, listen to everyone. Now, everyone says, well, I'm a taxpayer. Well, you know what? The renters have a voice too. In my office, everyone has a voice. It's not whether you own a house, you own a business, or you rent, because it all interacts with one another. I really need your voters because we need to continue. We have so much work that we've been doing, and finally, we are seeing that with our partnership. Just look at the process today. Thank you, and don't forget to vote.
I'm Rob Russell, and I'm running for mayor of Gloucester to restore our crown jewels. These jewels include the boulevard, our beaches, our harbor, and our historic downtown. Our historic downtown is our vitality, it is our heritage. It is our spirit. Pop-up shops program will fill the empty storefronts. This will get back our can-do spirit, and it will allow residents 365 days a year to enjoy it. For tourists, they will stay, and they will stay longer. It's a win-win. For our 400th celebration, we need to shine. We can do it. We must do it. Seniors, the backbone of our community. Many of them are on a fixed income. Many of them want to age in their home. I value a freeze for the property taxes for those 70 plus in Gloucester. Our seniors deserve to age in their home. We should value them. We can do it, and we will do it. Schools, the future of Gloucester. We've scored average on our MCAS scores. Average is not good enough. We will do better. Essex Aggie Vocational has 90 students. Many of our students do not qualify for Essex Aggie. They're the forgotten students. We will start a culinary arts program, a graphic arts design program, and a feasibility, sustainability program. We can do it. They're the future of Gloucester. Climate change. We're a coastal community. I need your vote. Thank you.
Russell. Thank you.
My first executive order would be to reinstate the currently outlawed annual Lanes Cove barn fire. That one's for you. Only you can prevent forest fires. If you wish to write me, mail it to elect Francisco A. Sclafani, Post Office Box 1662. That was Post Office Box 1662. As our new next mayor, I will petition the state to move the state boat ramp to the state fish pier because that's where it belongs, to reduce the number of times the cut bridge has to go up. I'll ask the state to paint the underside of the cut bridge before it rots out. As our new next mayor, I will go to Washington and address Congress to ask that this great nation's blood supply be screened for possible transmissible diseases. Learn to believe in miracles. One of our many objectives will be to embark on a robust beach erosion restoration campaign, which will enlarge the sizes of our great city's local beaches. Right now at high tide, Good Harbor Beach isn't even there anymore. Our new mayoral administration will pay a cash bounty for the safe capture and relocation of any wild coyotes found within the city limits. I give my approval to additional vocational training opportunities by the creation of a Gloucester boat building facility to be built on Lot I-4C2. This public boat building facility will have public restrooms on Rogers Street and will include daily public tours to show the various stages of building boats, a facility where apprentices can learn from experienced master shipwrights, long-lost, forgotten boat building skill sets. It shall ask the United States Navy to send a warship to Gloucester for public touring purposes only. Find the time to read to a child today.
My name is Greg Bergen. I'm running to be your mayor for a more efficient, more transparent, and more collaborative Gloucester. And I humbly ask for your vote on this coming Tuesday, September 14th, so we can actually move Gloucester forward. Now, I hadn't planned on running for mayor this year, but the news of staff complaints and lawsuits, a toxic work environment, and the overwhelming evidence of a mayor's office lacking professionalism and the basic respect for subordinates convinced me I had to do something. I'm running for mayor because it is my lifelong home here in Gloucester, and I truly want to make it a better place to live, to work, and to visit. I was your Ward 5 city councilor and at-large councilor for 6 years, and for 8 years I was on the school committee, and I also served as chairman. 14 years of experience taught me to always be fair and professional, to build consensus to deliver to our residents, and to put the people of Gloucester first in any decision. It is time to give back to that way of thinking. When I was your ward councilor, the most common issue I dealt with was private road versus public road repairs. Now, 6 years after leaving the council, this issue is no closer to resolution. As mayor, this will finally be addressed. Also, neighbors should be involved earlier in the development plans, and I'm proposing a mediation system that will achieve this. Old ideas lead to stagnation, and simply put, City Hall needs a reset because the current administration lacks vision. My vision for Gloucester is that we refocus wasted energy back on the bread and butter issues that every resident expects and deserves. A clean city, safe sidewalks, streets maintained and repaired equitably throughout the city, a school system among the best performing in the state, and at the same time we can set our sights on the long-term planning that look far beyond just arm's reach. So as we approach our 400th anniversary, instead of problem creation, explanation, and litigation, we should be laying the groundwork for the next generation. My name is Greg Berger. I have the experience and temperament to lead our city this time. I hope to earn your support this coming Tuesday, September 14th. Thank you.
To all candidates. Now we'll begin with our questions. Again, we have 6 questions. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to address each question. For the first question, we'll start with Mr. Harvey and go down the table in the same order. And then, as I said, the second question, we'll start with Mr. Pollard, go down the table, and come back to Mr. Harvey so that we vary the order each time. Our first question: what would you like to achieve in your first 60 days in office?
First 60 days. My first 60 days, one of my highest priorities is there is a little bit of a backlog for both state fish pier and with the harbor masters docks for commercial fishing. I believe there are locations in the inner harbor where we could satisfy docking those guys and then be able to put in temporary recreational boating in the summertime within DPA without violating any of their standards. That's my number one right now.
Not necessarily within the first 60 days, but I think, like I had mentioned in my opening statement, we need to focus on education. The children are our future. I think we need to focus on not just the current school system, but we have an opportunity here. We have a wonderful school system. We have, unfortunately, 275 students that school choice to other districts. I would like to delve deeper into why so many children are leaving our school system. I see an opportunity here for a wonderful vocational school that Gloucester currently offers with machine tech, carpentry, electrical, and automotive. And these are wonderful vocations. I would like to work with the city, the schools system, the superintendent to add additional vocations to the school system. And that is my absolute number one priority. Thank you.
Well, the first 60 days is to welcome the city council, welcome the new boards and commissions, and work on team leadership. We went through COVID. Let's hope that in the first 60 days, there's no Delta. So we're working on to make sure the city of Gloucester is safe, and what we can do as a team and as working as all citizens is to make sure that we do have the best. In order to do that, you need to succeed of trainings, new city council to make sure that they have all their ethics, to make sure that we all have trainings. We hired already people to come in, and even, you never know what happens on September 14th, but to make sure, I don't want to leave my employees or anyone else saying that we don't have enough education for ourselves, and that's really important. And to look at our team, being team leaders doesn't mean it's our supervisors. It means an employee who likes to lead and wants to still have education and continue their education and be able to be better while they're working. How do you do that when you're working 40 hours a week? So we're working on those programs. We're working on the city council to have someone come in and actually help them lead and help them understand what it is and what the rules and regulations, the ordinance. Also, the first 60 days is we need someone to come in and check all the ordinances. We're finding things that happened in 1970 that were never recorded. We are working on everything. It takes time, and there's a process. So with that, we're already working on it now. The first 60 days is just to make sure that we're ready to go for winter. Let's hope there's no snow. Let's hope there's no Delta, but we'll be ready if both are here. Thank you.
Within the first 60 days, I will implement a pilot POP pilot shops program to fill the empty storefronts. This will be an immediate resurgence of our vitality and our enthusiasm. We can do it, and this will get the ball rolling downtown. Number two, climate. We're a coastal community. We have the most to lose. We also have lots to gain. I will accelerate the Mass Save program for Gloucester residents. This will get us on the right track. Our future generations are depending on us, and I will not let them down. Finally, I will go after the federal infrastructure bill to repair our roads and to update our sewage treatment plant. We can do it. It's the nuts and bolts of this city, and it's our heritage. We will do it. I need your vote. Thank you.
I always wanted the Babson maternity ward returned to Addison Gilbert Hospital. It's been close to 4 separate decades since we've had a maternity ward. I don't know if you read the paper about women having to give birth on the side of 128 South in the breakdown lane. I remember when the first child would be born on the side of 128 South in the breakdown lane. It perished 72 hours later. And that's what you have to risk with a maternity ward at least 18.2 miles away. Some places in the city it might be a 30 or 40 mile ride just to have a baby, which I'm sure that adds to the anxiety of having a child. And I think that's the most important thing right now is bringing back the Babson maternity ward to Addison Gilbert Hospital.
The first step for my new administration is to undertake, thank you, the reset that I mentioned, and let all the managers and all the rank and file in the city know that we're under new management, and that we're going to have a whole new level of respect that's going to be expected from everybody from top to bottom. Most of the managers, I believe, are going to be up for reappointment in February, so I'm going to be looking closely at their personnel files, their performance evaluations, and decide what we're going to do going forward, who's going to be the team that's going to lead us. Education, vocational education is a passion of mine. The years I was on the school committee and city council, I had family members who worked in the vocational department. So I always had to keep my mouth shut about it, but they're retired now. So I can start to talk. It's an important part of our educational system, and people need to understand that we cannot add programs without the blessing of our friends up in Middleton at the North Shore Tech. So I want to build a true partnership with North Shore Tech. They take in about 1,400 applications a year, and about 700 kids get in, which means about 700 kids in our region don't get in. We should have a partnership with them where they let those kids know, sorry you didn't make it in here, but Gloucester's got programs. And then from there we can talk about expanding to new programs. So those are the big keys for me. New appointments, education, and that reset.
Thank you. Our second question, and we'll start this time with Mr. Pollard. What do you consider to be the 3 most important issues facing the city of Gloucester?
Thank you. Well, I think the most important issue that the city of Gloucester is currently facing is the sewage treatment plant facility. Unfortunately, we have one of the last primary treatment facilities in Massachusetts. The majority of the state of Massachusetts has already upgraded their treatment facility to either a secondary facility or a tertiary facility. The federal government is going to require the city of Gloucester to upgrade the system within the next 5 or 6 years approximately, and that is going to cost us in the range of $80 to $100 million. This is an extremely important issue and one that we need to address right away with instituting a capital improvement plan in place now so that we're preparing for the future. The second most important, I believe, I've already mentioned before, is education. So I've already mentioned that, so I'm going to go into the third one, which is the traffic issues that we deal with during the summer months. And I think an easy solution to that problem would be to institute an online day pass purchasing would be very helpful to the city. Thank you.
Well, it's kind of hard to say three things. We're an island, so it keeps going around. So I will start with, social justice, equality, DPW, their infrastructure, that whole yard needs to be all repaired. Schools, pump station, infrastructure, the roads, affordable housing, climate change, economic development. But what's really concerning me, and we have to work on it together, is mental health. The mental health illness that's happening is with our children, which starts with getting what they need in the schools, with getting there. It's very difficult to get the help. There's 1,200 registered juvenile therapists, 900 don't take insurance. That's not equality. So we're working on that. We talked about that today. We're working with the pumping stations. We refurbished them, almost all done. That's why we got our waiver after 30 years. As far as the pumping station, we are already building that berm around it. And we'll have to build it the same place, so it doesn't cost $180 million. We're working with Congressman Moulton's office. We're already there, 40% to get reimbursed, and we want more than that. And we want it to be green, so it could actually produce the energy that we need. My biggest pet peeve is, and I know someone's gonna say something, because I live in West Gloucester, so I know private roads, some of these repairs, some of these holes. You know what, in the 70s we can do it, now you can't.
Sorry.
So that's really upsetting, especially when, you have people saying, I have high taxes, what are we gonna do that? We're working on that. We're working on the state to figure out what we can do and how do you make them. Climate change, it's reality. And one of the first things in 60 days is hire actually someone just to handle climate change and resilience, because my team is working on other programs. So we have to do that too. Thank you. She didn't clean it. All right. She's good. Thank you.
The first thing we have to look at is infrastructure. Those are roads, sewage waste treatment plant. We need to use the federal infrastructure money wisely. Our roads are a wreck. We're coming to our 400th celebration. We have the money to do it. We're going to do it. It's very important for you to go to A to B without losing an axle or a boot on your car. The infrastructure here needs a reboot. I'm going to do it. You folks deserve better. The infrastructure bill is going to be $3.1 billion. Gloucester needs to get its fair share. Secondly, the quality of life in Gloucester must improve for the young and old. Our beaches, the boulevard, they must be accessible. Currently, right now, people go to the boulevard all day. They avoid paying at Stage 4 Park, so seniors cannot enjoy the boulevard on those 20 great days. That is our spirit. That is our vitality, to be able to use the boulevard and the beaches. We need to understand that lost revenue from this hurts all of us. Finally, the schools. Average is not good enough. Mr. Pollard has mentioned the vocational, and I'm going to go back on that and double down on it. We need the skills for the 21st century.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
The water pressure at my house has been steadily going down. I got a brand new water main in front of the house, so it's not that problem. I had a contractor change the water main to the house, so it's not that problem. It's just that the water pressure is steadily going down, which indicates that we should have to build additional water towers to pressurize the city's water supply. And then, of course, these coyotes, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the television. One coyote seemed to attack two two-year-old girls, wherever that was, Situate or Chatham. And then one 5-year-old boy was being dragged away till his father came out and stopped the coyote. So I really think that we have to get rid of these coyotes. I think they're protected by some law, so you can't kill them, but you can capture them, I'm pretty sure, and relocate them. And the last thing is moving the state boat ramp to the state fish pier. Most out-of-towners, when they launch the boat, they just want to go into the outer harbor. And right now, the cut bridge has to come up every time a boat goes through it. So I don't know if you've been down there, the bridge is going up all the time. And I really think that the state boat ramp has to be moved to the state fish pier.
Every one of these issues has to be handled by the next mayor, which will be me. But we have to understand that we need to multitask. And as a realtor, which is basically an independent contractor, to make a living, you have to know how to multitask. But I'll pick three. Climate resiliency, as I said before, look out the window. Whether you think climate change is man-made or is natural, it's there. We see it with the fires in California, the heat in Oregon, and the floods along the Gulf Coast. And I fully support the Cape Ann Climate Coalition's recommendation to hire a full-time resiliency director. I don't want to just give that title to another employee that's already got 60,000 other titles. Development, we need to get a handle on that. We can't be a city that just says no, but we can't be a city that just says yes. So I mentioned in my opening statement a mediation plan. You know, when the developer comes to town, they show up at the city boards with their lawyer, their architect, their engineer, and then the people who are in opposition basically have each other. I'd like to set up a plan where a mediator meets with the developer and the locals before they even hit the city boards, so they can try to reach some level of compromise before it becomes rather unpleasant. Traffic, seems like we think about traffic every Memorial Day and then we stop thinking about it every Labor Day. So since Labor Day's passed, we shouldn't stop. So we need to do some out-of-the-box thinking. I think we should look at some temporary parking, traffic lights. Gloucester seems to be opposed to those, but it might be a way to study and see if it works.
Mr. Hart?
I have to agree with the mayor on this one. It's really tough to pick three when there are so many huge, important things going on. But if I'm going to go with number one, I'm going to have to go with our ongoing response to COVID-19. Nothing else in this city is going to kill people next week, next month, this year, and that is going to. We need to work with our Board of Health, School Department, Housing Authority, every city department to try to get out the message that this is real, that people need to get vaccinated, they need to take care of themselves. And as to whether people believe that or not, I personally, I'm a lymphoma survivor. My immune system is compromised. I get a flu shot every year. I got the vaccine. And throughout my career, I've spent enough time in shipyards and industrial settings to know that masks and respirators work. They keep things out of your lungs. We need to take this seriously. Also, with that, improving the ventilation in some of our schools, places like Plum Cove and Beeman have next to no positive flow ventilation. And then after that would be the sewer treatment plant. Like they've already touched on, we need to get a berm built. We're going to have more of these huge floods, and it's not going to be too terribly long until we have more of them. Thank you.
Thank you all. For our third question, we'll begin with Mayor Romeo Tikin, pardon me. And the question is, with the continued development of city-owned buildings, what is your plan to ensure that Gloucester is properly budgeting to allow for funding to sustain and maintain the buildings into the future?
We're doing it now. We started administration in 2015. We started administration in 2015 and we divided the free cash, 40% to 20 to 20. We put it into capital improvements. That's how all of a sudden the roof was leaking at the high school. We come up with the $2 million. The bleachers were sinking in. We came up with the money. The projects that need to be done, we done it. Every single school got a new heater system, ventilation. We had that money. We didn't have to borrow that money. We didn't have to do anything. Not only that, because of our good ratings, our smart shop and our smart saving, we have a bond rating of 1.9 for 20 years. 20 years of an interest rate of 1.9. Now you can agree that's a good rate.
Yes.
So that's what you call, because they look at all our sustainabilities. They look how we're spending our money. Then look how we are balancing the budget, 1.9% increase that we did that everyone else. We have still communities that haven't even been able to do their budget and need assistance. We are ahead of the game because we were smart. Yes, we were saying this year, do not spend, do not do this, do not do that. We were doing it cautiously. We were doing it with CARES Act. We'll be spending. It's not my money, it's your money. And we spend, and we did it, the 40%, the 20%, whatever is needed, and that's what we're doing. Look what we're doing at the police station. Look what we're gonna be doing at City Hall. Look at all the infrastructure we are changing. Those are plans. Takes a process, you have to go through the bidding, but the restoration of City Hall, all the fire departments, and the school departments, and
Thank
the
you.
police department. But next is my DPW.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
With the continued development of city-owned buildings, what is your plan to ensure that Gloucester is properly budgeting to allow for funding to sustain and maintain the buildings into the future?
We have a tremendous opportunity ahead of us. The American Recovery Program, $3.1 billion. Gloucester has a chance to do a one-time thing that can get us going in our buildings. We have this opportunity. Charlie Baker has said that people should think outside of the box. Cities should think outside the box to do some things to rebuild our infrastructures. The sewage treatment plant needs a reboot. We're going to focus on that because that is, although it is not sexy, it is a very important part of our city. We are a coastal community and we need the Coastal Resiliency Fund to come our way. We have much to lose if we don't fix that sewage treatment plant. We need to put it up to code. So that's step one. Step two is to take a look at our police station. We need a new one. It's downtown. Essex did a nice hybrid fire station and police station. I believe that Gloucester should look at Essex and model that. We need a fire station and police station to match our goals as a community. Thank you.
I think that the civil servant pension fund has to be observed. I don't think it's being fully funded. I don't know, a lot of people are expecting to collect their pensions after X amount of years they put in working for the city. But I would like to study if that civil service public pension fund is being properly funded.
When I was the chairman of the school committee, and I started, I was a member of I was a member of a committee that was looking at all the city-owned buildings, and we came up with all the deficiencies. So this is 2009, then when I became a city councilor, I carried over on the committee. So 2009 through 2010, we identified these deficiencies, and we did nothing about it. We need to have a proactive preventive maintenance program, because all this stuff, this one-time money from the Recovery Act, that's great. Eventually, it'll dry up. So anything we plan on doing beyond that is going to have to be bonded. And it's going to be difficult to go to the voters saying, will you pay for a building for XYZ department if we can't demonstrate the maintenance program, if whether or not a maintenance program is in place. So that's the first thing, is to set up a program where we're looking at all the buildings and taking care of things before they become issues. And from there, we just have to be careful looking ahead. We're already hearing complaints about the West Parish School, which is just a few years old. So I want to make sure that we're ahead of the game on that, and then if the new Vets East Gloucester School is going to be built. So again, preventive maintenance is going to be the key, and it won't be enough. But as I said, before we ask the people to go borrow billions of dollars, we better be able to back up the reasons why we're doing it.
Like the mayor said, we are not doing a bad job right now of funding repairs to these schools, but I think where we do fall short is looking forward at future needs. When West Parish was built, they didn't build any extra capacity into that school. Now we need a new Ward 2/East Gloucester. Some of that capacity could have been put there. Let's see. Thank you.
So the city of Gloucester has some fairly new municipal buildings and some older municipal buildings. But just because we have a newer building, for example, the West Parish School, we still need to focus on annual maintenance. Now, there could be a concern that, you know, this annual maintenance may be, you know, a little more expensive or costly on a year-to-year basis, but when you look at the life of a building like West Parish, which is fairly new, if we can prolong the life of this building another 20 years, it could be millions of dollars of savings over time. I'd like to, on an annual basis, you know, tour all the municipal buildings with the DPW director, Mike Hale, assess any issues and focus on maintaining these buildings. Now, some of the other school buildings, for example, the Beaman School or Plum Cove, was talk about both of those buildings need to be replaced in the near future. We need to have a capital improvement plan in place so that we're prepared for that to happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you all. Our fourth question, we'll start with Mr. Russell this time. This is a little bit long. If you want me to repeat the question, please don't hesitate to ask, and Kylie, you'll hold the clock until the response begins if that happens. Okay, so beginning with Mr. Russell. The Magnolia community played a very large financial role in the rebuilding of the Magnolia Pier, and unfortunately, damage was sustained to the float next to the pier and it has not been replaced. How would you handle the financial needs of repairs, and what is your opinion of the cost burden of projects like the Magnolia Pier falling on community members?
Could you please,
You want me to repeat that?
could you please repeat the question?
Yes. Louder. Very well. The Magnolia community played a very large financial role in the rebuilding of the Magnolia Pier. Unfortunately, damage was sustained to the float next to it, and the float has not been replaced. How would you handle the financial needs of repairs, and what is your opinion of the cost burden of projects like the Magnolia Pier falling on community members?
First of all, Ed Markey, our great senator, 2 weeks ago, held a meeting in Boston about coastal resiliency. He mentioned the funds need to be released to local communities. I will tap those to rebuild the pier. It is a crown jewel, the pier. The community is for everyone. The pier, everyone gets use. So, in my opinion, we should fund it as a city and tackle resources to repair the pier. Anytime something in a community is a common good, my feeling is we must fund it because everyone can benefit from it. It's a win-win. Magnolia, my pop-up shops program, would work here. And let's think about that. We want to have a working pier where people can enjoy it. So that's the way I feel about it. We have many crown jewels in this city, and the pier should be funded by the community. And I want to just say this, where do you get the revenue? Enforcement and advanced ticketing will have extra money in the budget. And we can do this, and I believe it's a common good and a common goal. Thank you.
I think that the Magnolia Pier should be paid for through the preservation fund that comes from the sale of real estate. Was it 2-3% per sale? It's the preservation of the community, renewing the Magnolia Fish Pier, or the Magnolia Pier.
I think we need to decide if the Magnolia Pier is a public asset or not, because when I was the ward councilor, we went going through this back then when there was damage, and the powers that be at the time just didn't seem interested in doing a repair. And we can't constantly depend on the kindness of strangers to come out and build it with their own labor and their own materials. So is it a matter of a public-to-private partnership going forward? I mean, this is going to happen again and again because, as we alluded to earlier, climate change is going to lead to more adverse weather situations. But I fully supported the pier when I was a ward councillor and a large councillor, and I fully support it as the mayor. And there are ways to fund it through the Waterways Board or other methods, but to just pass the buck and say, you guys raise the money and you do all the work is unacceptable to me.
That's it. As I understand it, the float and the ramp were damaged during a storm, that's correct? I do not, there's got to be something wrong with the construction of this. I maintained that for the harbor master's office years ago. And we put the moorings back in every year, or we hook the moorings back up every year, and there was never a problem. There was plenty of bad weather. I think the city is not that much money to put another ramp and a pier out there, and the effort to, or ramp and a float out there, and there's either CPA funds or just from the general fund should be able to take care of that. I don't think the neighborhood here should have to handle that themselves. And it's not that complicated of a fix. I know that.
So the Magnolia Pier is one of the unique attractions to Gloucester, but we have many unique reasons why Gloucester makes us special. So to continue to support financially the maintenance and repairing of Magnolia Pier, I believe is extremely important for the city of Gloucester to support. I mean, there is a wonderful pier. We have, something like that is not found in many other communities. So I think it's important that we, like I said, support financially the maintenance and any upgrades that need to be done to the pier. I think it's extremely important for the city of Gloucester to get involved and support that. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. So let me tell you what happened with the Magnolia Pier. The Magnolia Pier, which is great, everyone jumped off, everyone that lived in the neighborhood, it was that. It really wasn't a public pier. It's not a public pier. Then the dock below was mostly used by Manchester. So a harbor master was talking to the harbor master in Manchester, figuring how we can work together, because we can't have access to the beach. How we can work together where they could pay a fee and we'll redo it. People came forward and said, we want this pier, we want to do it ourselves. Your council, you had Dick Wilson, Lisa Nagello, started a committee and wanted to do it faster and wanted to do it their way, which is great, because you got a pier that was quicker. The pier is fine. We do have maintenance, we do it. Your waterways handles the water. Your waterways was involved. We had a Zoom meeting because I have no idea, except to jump off, what is needed. The dock itself was made by your vocational department at the high school. They made that over 10 years ago. That last storm, when it took it off, was damaging to houses. I was there on the water side. It was horrible. The harbor master came with Ted Coster, another one on the committee, saying that we couldn't pull it out. And when it couldn't pull it out, it broke. We ordered it. We had COVID. The money is there to redo. We want to do it right. They're deciding on the size, what kind of lift. I have no idea, but it's being taken care of. Nobody's stopping it. Your harbor master didn't say no, or anyone else. It's going to happen.
Thank you, Mayor Taken. Okay, our fifth question, and this time we'll start with Mr. Sclafani. Would you support adding more city staff, like a full-time sustainability director that many towns and cities have already implemented to deal with climate issues? And what are your thoughts about clean energy coastal protection measures that the city should be looking to implement?
I think that you have plenty of staff right now as far as hiring more people. I think that, I think that we'll have to actually look into that problem.
Can you repeat the last part of the question?
Yes, I'll read the whole question again. Would you support adding more city staff, like a full-time sustainability director that many towns and cities have already done to deal with climate issues? And what are your thoughts about clean energy coastal protection measures that the city should be looking to implement?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, I fully support a full-time resiliency director. And in other communities, it's more than paid for itself. So that's, to me, a no-brainer. And as I said, I'm going to be very careful that it's full-time and not just a title added to an existing employee. As far as clean energy, I mean, that's an important part that should be in the toolbox of any community to help us out for climate resiliency going forward.
I would have to see what, hello? I would have to know what the numbers were gonna be first to hire a staff and or a director for that sort of thing. All of the functions of a resiliency director are currently being performed by other staff members within city government. It's just a matter of reprioritizing and calling it climate resiliency as opposed to what they're already calling it. That's really all there is to it.
So understanding how the coastlines and the harborway will change over time is extremely important. And if we were to add more staff to do that, that will allow us to plan for the future. Addressing coastal climate change is a team effort though. And so I think it's important to add staff, but we will also work with the harbor master, obviously the state of Massachusetts, because the majority of the harbor is in the DPA, environmental organizations, and the owners of the waterfront properties, since the majority of the properties owned on the waterways are owned privately. We need to work together to not only make short-term, but also permanent long-term solutions. Thank you.
Well, I'm on the Seaport Economic Council, also on the Massachusetts Municipality Association Climate Change. Absolutely, we're going to need someone full-time. Just going on those meetings alone is exhausting. It's time-consuming, but you have to, because you have to be out there. When funds need to be coming around to the communities, you have to be there spot on. Not only that, our community is different. 90% of our waterfront is privately owned, where New Bedford, 90% is owned by the city. So we have a total difference. Not only that, I want to make sure that when we get someone to do the climate change coordinator, it's not just climate change. It's implementing like we do with the clean energy. It's make sure that we get insensitive. So when people do want to build, it's green. It's serving and preserving. You can't just say, well, we're going to wait for a hurricane. It's coastal resilience. We have to prevent things too. We have to be proactive. Our students taught us that. They taught me a lot. It's here, it's happening. Some people say, oh no, nothing's happening. It's coastal resilience. It's climate change. I don't care what you believe in, it's happening. We have infrastructure that needs to be taken care of. Just the Cut Bridge, if everyone's familiar with that. 2015, 75 cars underwater. What are we doing? We're finally getting some more money. We're gonna try to work with the engineer department. We're working it. We're gonna put like an extension of the wall. How does that coexist? What do we need to do? New Bedford got one of those bridges. We can't do that. We need help, absolutely. One person in my department can't do it. We're doing it together, but a full-time staff person would make it work faster. It's not washed. I got my shot.
Could you ask the question? Could you ask the question again?
Yes, of course. Would you support adding more city staff, like a full-time sustainability director that many towns and cities have already done to deal with climate issues? And what are your thoughts about clean energy coastal protection measures that the city should be looking to implement?
I'm in complete favor of hiring a full-time person. We need. Thank you, Mr. Berger. I am in complete favor of hiring a full-time person to handle this. Talk is cheap, we need to walk the walk. Beach erosion, harbor seawalls need to be protected. We're a coastal community, we have much to gain. We have to be on the forefront of this. We must protect our beaches. We must protect our seawalls. 40% of the carbon imprint is by transportation. Many of us need to do our part, and we need to call on the idling, the folks that idle in their cars, and at the schools and at the beaches. We also have to look at e-buses. We also have to accelerate, as I said before, the mass save to get folks off fossil fuels. This will reduce our carbon imprint and protect our wetlands and marshes to absorb the carbon from the air. We can do this, and Gloucester has to walk the walk. It is the future of Gloucester. And again, the next generation will look back at us and say, what did we do? Well, we are going to do it. And again, Ed Markey has said there is money, and we're going to spend it to protect our heritage.
I think the city of Gloucester has plenty of administrative staff. And each one of these jobs is close to $100,000 apiece. You're going to be counting your pennies someday. I don't think that you're going to be wanting to hire a bunch of people that are going to try to control something you can't control.
Thank you. So we've come to our sixth and final question. We'll start with Mr. Verga and then come back to Mr. Harvey at the beginning of the table. And after that question, we'll have closing statements. For this question, we're grateful to the students in the Global Issues class at Gloucester High School. I understand there are a couple of representatives of that class here tonight. Welcome. And the question is, what will you do to help the Gloucester Public Schools?
Sure. Well, I spent 8 years in the Gloucester School Committee. I was the chairman for the last 2 years. I've sent 3 children to Gloucester Public Schools, and I have 2 grandchildren who will be heading to Gloucester Public Schools. So I'm fully vested. And as we all know, the mayor, a mayor generically, is a member of the school committee, a full voting member, not a symbolic member. And I intend to rejoin the school committee and fully participate and take part in all the discussions and lead, not stepping on the toes of whoever the chairman may be, but lead and not have the school committee wondering where I stand on the issues.
As I said earlier, I think one of our biggest crises right now and here now is with COVID-19, and we need ventilation in those schools, especially the older schools. I think that's the most important thing. And revitalizing our technology centers, getting better computer systems and learning facilities as far as technology in the schools.
So obviously I've already mentioned my passion for education, educating the youth. I think it's extremely important. But like I had mentioned before, Gloucester in 2021 had 275 children school choice out of Gloucester to other school districts. I see an opportunity here. If we were to be able to retain just 2 students, for example, that would bring back revenue into the city, the equivalent of approximately 1 teacher's salary. So for every 2 students that we would be able to retain out of those 275 students on an annual basis, we could bring additional teacher back into the school system to reduce the class sizes. I also see an opportunity to enlarge the vocational school, since not everyone can get into the current vocational school at Essex Aggie. So I think that we need to highlight our vocational school and attract more students, not just back from retaining students from the current Gloucester community, but also possibly the other school districts on the North Shore as well. Thank you.
Well, is this the one that works? Thank
Thank you. Well, I've been in politics for 20 years, but I've been an advocate for 30. I've been in the school system as a translator, as an advocate, as a helper, a mother, a grandmother, on the school committee. But let me tell you something, I walked in the schools. I talked to the teachers, I talked to the students. They're the ones who actually educated me even further on climate change. It's not just about the school building, it's about the infrastructure inside. What do they need? What do they want? Well, I'll tell you something. They have a council at the high school. You know, they were working on programs of going open door and the things that they need to help one another. They know what a child needs. They know about the social injustice equality. They know about having programs there to have people be able to walk through that door. If they can't walk through that door, what about the Compass program? We want a child to have an education at graduation if they choose to. As far as the vote, we've had Ann Margaret come down here with Molly Burns and people from the community donate a lot of money to the unions. They came here and they set up programs. They set up electrical, shop, metal, also for our veterans. So if they wanted to, they'll take them as apprentice. So we are working with folks. And the same thing, I have a great person who represented me, Melissa Texera, but also now Val Gilman as one of my liaisons for the vote, because we were upset. If you want to go to the vote, we need blue economy. We need the trades. But yet you also need to hear what the students want. And we do that. We start with the infants. That's why, unfortunately, like I said, it's not the location, it's the school, and we needed to build.
Thank you, Mayoral.
I am a former Massachusetts high school teacher. I will sit very nicely on the school committee. I will support our teachers, realizing that they need enrichment programs to reach all students. The students will gain confidence by having an advocate. We need to spend money from K through 4 to get the reading and writing scores up. This is the time to invest in our community. They are the future. Money must come to the schools. You must put money at the problem. Coming out of COVID, I'm going to guarantee you that principals and teachers are going to be saying, we need something. And we need to be ready January 1st, when I'm in office, to hire support staff and do some things to get our kids up to snuff. The vocational training in Gloucester is our heritage. So many people in this community have made their lifeline, their money, through the trades. Gloucester needs to embrace that and make the high school a 21st century star for us. I will do it. The kids and the teachers and the parents will have an advocate for them. And this advocacy will start at the elementary grades and go through high school. And beyond high school, if we have a good vocational program, people in their 50s and 60s can go back for retraining.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
I think the number one problem with Gloucester's public schools is security. If you have any children in the school district, I don't know if you pay attention to mass shootings in schools. You ask yourself, how do these people get in the schools? They walked right through the front door. So the front door should really be double walled, 2 sets of doors, should always be guarded, and somebody should always be there. The students should have a little identification card that allows them in and out of the school. But I really think security is the number one thing we have to work on right now, is securing the doors to our schools, so that just anybody can't walk in there.
Thank you all. So we've come to the final element of our debate, which is an opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement. I think we'll go in the opposite order of the opening statement. So we'll start with Mr. Verga, if that's okay, and we'll come down the table towards me. Mr. Verga, when you're ready.
There are so many issues facing our city, and we need a leader with experience who will lead by example with professionalism, respect for all residents and employees, and set the tone that we're all in this together for Rio and not just as a slogan. A mayor who will build collaboration among the school committee and city council and not celebrate divisions. A mayor who doesn't need a seminar to know that grudges and personal attacks have no place in our city government. and a mayor who recognizes that debating and disagreeing are a healthy part of our democracy. Are you okay with the way things are now? Are resignations by key staff because of a toxic work environment acceptable? Are things good enough, or do you expect better? On Tuesday, September 14, which is next Tuesday, you can make your voice heard, and together we can begin to reset Gloucester with a more respectful, more professional government. I'm running to help our schools, to make our economic development more fair and equitable, to protect our beaches and improve our roads, because we can do better. I'm Greg Berger, and I ask you to vote on Tuesday, September 14. Thank you so very much.
I would like to thank anyone who has the courage to vote for me. I would also like to thank all first responders, including all essential workers who keep society supplied. I look forward to discussing the installation of high-security entrance doors at all Gloucester public schools. I already mentioned this, my water pressure at home is steadily going down, which means we'll have to build additional water towers to boost the pressure in the city's water supply pipes. I think we all agree we need more public restrooms. If you're thinking of voting for someone who wants to rezone the Inner Harbor, realize that thousands of blue-collar jobs are on the line. Rezone Gloucester's marine industrial fishing infrastructure, and you permanently destroy Gloucester's fishing industry's infrastructure forever. True love is only when another person's needs become more important than your own. Be true to your heart, stay safe, and take good care of yourself.
This election is about the quality of your life. Right now, our crown jewels need restoration. Our schools are not good enough. Average won't cut it. They need to be better than average. This candidate running for mayor is going to make your life better. You're going to be able to access the boulevard on those 20 great days. Your revenue is going to increase by doing advanced ticketing for non-residents coming to our beaches. More importantly, the people that live in Wingersheek and East Gloucester, they're going to be able to shop downtown. That is our vitality. Tourism, residents alike, it's a win-win situation. The visitor that comes here wants to see a great downtown. This election is about your voice. You're gonna get it back, and City Hall is gonna come back to the people. Vote for me, and it is a vote for all of us. Thank you.
Well, I was gonna say a whole bunch of things. Everything that was said here tonight, the questions we are doing. Since 2015, we put a plan in place. The infrastructures, the building repairs, the waterfront, the coastal. I mean, 2015, if we didn't got hit by everything you can think of under the sun, we did. We're working on that. We're implanting that. It takes a lot of time. Now, 2015, we're at 6 years. But look at the programs that we've done. Look at that. Our dams haven't been looked at in 100 years, and we just got funding. Okay, a lot of people, the infrastructure underneath haven't been looked at in 30 years. If you look at Washington Street, some of these streets, 5 streets are being repaved at one time, and then they get repaired again, and then underneath, because the infrastructure underneath, a gas leak or something. Schools, we're doing that. So we're getting new schools, we're getting the education. It's the best budget. This is the first time ever that the school not only increased their budget, but I work with the teachers.
Thank you.
I work with everyone. Thank you.
President John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." This wonderful city of Gloucester has been so good to me. I would like to dedicate my time to you as the next mayor. As a businessman, I believe it is extremely important to plan, plan, plan. I want to preach fiscal responsibility and being conservative. We have a budget projected for 2022 of $130 million. I think it's extremely important that we sharpen our pencil and focus on being fiscally responsible. And one way I'm going to do that is not just by preaching, but by taking action. And I'm gonna donate 20% of my annual salary, $20,000 each year, back to the city of Gloucester. Thank you.
At the conclusion of the last debate, I took the mayor to task for her treatment of both city employees and the public alike. I challenged her to release the unredacted report of their misconduct. Her response seemed to be that it was all due to COVID and that they were moving on. This is simply not true. The mayor's character and abusive behavior toward city employees, local businesses, and the public has been going on for years. I personally watched her berate and threaten a uniformed police officer who had the temerity to ask her why she was sitting on top of a city fire engine holding a re-elected godmother sign at the Horribles Parade. I must admit, I do agree with her on one thing. We need to move on. I can't promise that I will solve all the city's problems. No one can. I can promise that I will treat you all with the respect and dignity you deserve. That I will handle the city's business with the integrity that you expect, to improve what we can while preserving those things that make Gloucester beautiful and unique. I will spend your tax dollars wisely. Give me the chance on September 14th. Please vote.
Thank you all. That concludes tonight's debate. I hope you'll bear with me while I say just a couple of quick thank yous. I want to thank our candidates. Thank you. Thank you for your time and for sharing your thoughts. I want to thank 1623 Studios for the help with the audio-visual portion tonight. Thank you. I want to thank my colleagues on the board who worked very hard to put this debate together, especially our timer, Kylie Davis, and Alana Horn. I don't know where you are, Alana, but she ran a 5K wiping down microphones. And thank all of you for coming and being such an attentive audience. Please vote on September 14th. Have a good night. Thank you.